and how they've been able to serve here in our communities. And before the break, we were with Dr. Selassie, and he's still here. We're talking about ETSS and how it was founded. And now I wanted to know from you, Doctor, what are some of the services that ETSS is providing to the communities?
Yes, we had about more than 17 services that we are providing for the new Americans. We serve over 47 countries right now, or 47 countries from Middle East, from Southeast Asia, and Latin America, and the whole African continent. So the services that we are providing, we are focusing on education and employment, because education is, as you know, is a key to succeed in your life and education. And employment is really the basic and the foundation for integration. So the two are the most important key programs, which is centered on families. It's a comprehensive program that targeting the whole family, the children, the elders, and the parents. So based on that, number one, we have a youth development program, which provides, number one, after school tutoring. Number two, cultural enrichment, where we teach. See, the uniqueness of ETSS is that makes different from other services is we provide services both in English and native language. That's what's very attractive. The parents are very, very well to know, when they hear their language, their children are speaking and understand their culture. That is really why now our numbers is doubled and tripled, and we have a lot of waiting lists. So the cultural enrichment, nutrition and physical fitness programs, and then we have the summer camp. It's a very big program that every summer we serve more than 300, 400 youngsters. The after school program serves about more than 300 youngsters in 6 locations, because we have one on the northeast side for our partners there, exclusively for the Somali community. We have one site on the north for the Bhutanese Nepali community. We have another one on the north side for the Burmese community. On the west side, mostly for Somalis and Somali Bantus and some Hispanics. On the Hilliard area is for the Iraqi community and the Latin American community. The east side is mainly serves the Ethiopian and Eritrean community. So these are the 6 sites where we provide our after-school program and summer camp programs. In addition, for the youth program, we have the mentoring and mentoring our youngsters to be responsible adults. We have the leadership training, college preparation, and also the whole list of the youth program. On the adult program, we do have English as second language for those who really want that language for a job. And then we have job readiness training, soft skills training, and then of course to find them a job, and then follow up retention and case management. Our case management is very comprehensive, helping them from finding transportation, finding home, houses, and all those kind of things. The new programs that we started is our family care. The family care is more on domestic violence, and then health and wellness programs that we are providing. In addition to that, the other programs are the community events that we are doing, social events that will come about the New American Festival, all those different activities that promoting the culture and awareness of. So these programs are because our mission is to assist refugees and immigrants to improve the quality of their lives through education, training, supportive services, and other development and working areas. So, one is just improve their quality of services, and second is integration, to facilitate the integration to the neighbors that they are living, so that Americans welcome our refugee immigrant community. So we are trying to be part of the welcoming community and create welcoming neighborhoods for our community. And the last in our mission is really promote the culture and heritage of refugee immigrant communities. So in general, the whole vision is we want to be the focal point of integration and help new Americans to be a wealthy, self-reliant, wealthy, and healthy new American community.
And I like the approach which ETSS is taking towards this whole thing, because As you said in your conversation earlier, you said you were able to bring the community to the new American community to be able to be integrated into the American system, but not losing their culture.
Yes,
Which is always important, because any community don't want to find themselves lost, in the American system. Even the American system is a great thing, but they still want to be able to keep a part of it, and that is what makes America a beautiful country, because the variety of cultures, variety of people, variety of talents and everything, and this moves the country forward. Now, one thing that I would like to know, I know there's a lot of you have a lot of partners in what you're doing, and I don't think it can just happen overnight. One person cannot, or one organization cannot make all these things happen. And not just that, but also you need credibility. What had really helped ETSS as far as I know financially you are very, very accountable, and that has really brought a lot of trust, to bring other organizations into to help you do what you do, to support the new American community here. What really helps you as an organization to be acceptable? What are some of the accolades that you receive and the recognitions that you have?
I think that is what the key for our success is: building partnership and collaboration. I have a good team, very, very hardworking, because for your growth and to make your mission vision into reality, you have to have a team who shares your vision. And the teams that I brought together is really the foundation for the success of the organization, plus the partnership and collaborations that we are making. We know ETSS, all these successes that we talked about is not only Seleshi or myself. It is, you cannot build something like this kind of institute without the help of others. So my partners, collaborators, they believe in what we are working and doing, and they see the vision, because you have to show them really what the goals and what is your strategic direction is. So when people see that kind of vision share, they will follow, they will work with you, and share all the things that we have. So when we have initially we have about 4 partners: the Burmese community, the Bhutanese Nepali community, the Somali Benadir, Somali Bantu. We come together, as a service coalition. We write grants together. We implement it too, because the whole thing is that we have the common need. The children need that kind of services. The families need it. They don't care what they want is really services to their community. That 4-5 organizations now grown to 18. Last year we brought 18 organizations together and have a 3-week workshop on capacity building and leadership. And then after that they came up with, okay, let's come together and choose ETSS as their umbrella organization, because the infrastructure is already here. The finance structure is well, the HR infrastructure, the data management, the program design. So rather than creating their own, you cannot overnight build all those infrastructures. So we formed the New Americans Collaborative, Impact Collaborative actually. And since then, we celebrated last August our first year. And now it grows to 27 organizations. So that means that people really, come together to work. Our team is always one voice, one community. And that is our philosophy. Actually, our name, Tawahedo, means coming together as one. This is one of the ancient language of Africa and Ethiopia. So, that's the center. We are one. Let's come together and work together for a common good, for a collective community impact.
Awesome. And that you said it right in the right way. Now, what about somebody?
They think that we are only serving the current Ethiopian community who are living, most of them in the Ethiopian, in the east side of Columbus, or they think that Ethiopian to be the current political boundary of Ethiopia. Our philosophy, when I choose that name, to be there, and Tawahidut as a center, is I'm talking about the historical Ethiopia.
Correct.
I'm talking about the biblical Ethiopia. I'm talking about Ethiopia where the cradle of mankind
Started.
and his civilization. So
Yes.
everybody under that Ethiopia does not belong only to the current boundary of Ethiopia.
Correct.
Sorry, it is whole human race.
Yeah.
Embrace there, come out from that country and spread out. So that is my really long range that I would like to teach, let alone Africans.
Yes.
Even others, you came from that's your home. Ethiopia is your home.
Yes.
So it is with that philosophy really that I started. But when I explained to them and what it means, and plus practically, when we see our services, for example, the Ebola initiative that we
Correct.
did,
Correct.
we raised more than I think $12,000 for our Ebola
That's
problem
good.
sent back to Liberia and,
Correct,
and all Sierra Leone and others. Means we care about our African issues.
Correct.
And you can see from all the programs that we are serving, all the Somalis, all the Congolese community, the West African Mauritanian community, the Ghanaians, you can name it, and also you can see from the Iraqi community, pleased with the diversity of our staff, the diversity of our people, clients that we are serving, the diversity of our partners. And that's what ETSS is really becoming now. Everybody wants to be around us. And we want to be, because we all humans are the same.
Correct.
That's our philosophy.
Correct.
And we have to work for the common good, for our oneness. That is the whole philosophy ETSS we are teaching.
Now, the name ETSS definitely has become synonymous with the new American or mankind.
Exactly.
And it brings everybody,
Exactly.
it embraces every culture, people
Right.
from different culture, from different
Exactly.
backgrounds and
Exactly.
different beliefs. We'll be taking a quick break, okay? And when we come back, there is something that is going to happen here in Columbus this weekend, which I'm not worthy to talk a lot more about it, but Dr. Selassie is going to talk about this event. This event has happened in the past, about 5 years now, and it's growing, it's getting bigger and bigger. And I'm going to give Dr. Selassie some time to really highlight on what is going to happen this weekend here in Columbus, Ohio. So don't touch that dial. We'll be coming back, and we'll be talking a lot more with Dr. E.
TV Africa Network app is at the App Store, so go and get your own.
Visit Saraga International Grocery and check out our halal meat department for great prices on top quality goat meat, lamb meat, chicken, and other meat products. Our courteous staff is ready to help you with any custom orders. And check out the rest of the store for great savings. We're also running specials on potato leaves at $2.99 a pound, Indian head cornmeal for $2.99 each, and fufu, 2 for $5. For quality products and great prices, visit our Saraga International Grocery at 1265 Morse Road, Columbus, Ohio.
Deputy Director of the Equal Opportunity Division in the Ohio Department of Administrative Services. Please tune in to Co-Startup this Saturday at 11:30 a.m. and Sunday at 10 o'clock p.m. on TV Africa Network, where you can learn how to grow your small business. Gregory Williams, and I'm
At Furnitureland, we have a great selection of top quality furniture at incredibly low prices. Save big on living room furniture from $599 and sectionals from $999. No credit, no problem. We offer no credit check financing with 90 days same as cash. Stop in today at 1395 Morse Road, Columbus, Ohio. Call us at 614-447-8505 or visit us at FurniturelandOhio.com. Let Furnitureland on Morse Road help you make your house a home.
Hi, my name is Eugene Osebwating, host of Co-Startup on TV Africa Network. Saturday at 11:30 a.m. and Sundays at 10 p.m. on WCSN 32.4 TV Africa.
Each category contains Hello and welcome to Africa Today. I am Esther Omokwariola. Exactly 14 years ago, America was under attack with the world virtually in shock as extremists turned hijacked aircraft into guided missiles targeting the World Trade Center and the Pentagon Defense Headquarters outside Washington. Since then, there have been more than five-fold increase in the number of deaths from terror attacks, which rose from about 3,000 to almost 18,000 in 2013. In recent years, terrorism has grown to become a regionally concentrated and globally distributed phenomenon, placing a demand on global governance for peace, security, and justice. So we ask, what are your thoughts on the evolution of insurgency in Africa since the 9/11 attacks in the United States more than a decade ago? You can join the conversation and share your thoughts with us on Twitter at TVC Africa Today. We will take a report now, and Africa Today continues. Welcome on board.
The Commission on Global Security, Justice and Governance was established to focus international attention on the interplay of security and justice in global governance. The Commission believes its work is critical to understanding and addressing common global threats that require collaborative action across various levels of governance.
What we are recommending in this report is a much more institutionalized form of contact and communication and consultation between the UN General Assembly as the global parliament as well as the national parliament, so that their views, their challenges, their opinions, recommendations will be factored into the debates in the annual session of the General Assembly.
Vice President Yemi Oshibajo agrees that the crisis of global governance has deeply contributed to insecurity, corruption, insurgency, violence, discrimination, terrorism, piracy, cybercrimes, amongst many other vices.
Nigeria fully shares the views expressed in the report that the United Nations Security Council should be expanded, including the call in the report for restraint and the use of veto by the 5 permanent members. In addition, we take the position that based on our peacekeeping role in the UN, the size and strength of our economy, and the fact that our country has the largest population on the continent and the largest economy, Nigeria deserves a permanent member status in the Security Council.
Nigeria's foreign policy has always been very focused, very dynamic, and you can see the way the president is going about it. It's not about neglecting what is primary to us and focusing on the fleeting. So the
Development, organized by Savannah Center for Diplomacy and Development.
Glad to have you back. Going by the turn of events, many say the face of terrorism has changed almost beyond recognition as groups explore the use of social media to attain new heights of relevance. Joining me today on Africa Today, I have Achike Chude, a political analyst and human rights activist based in Lagos, Nigeria. Good to have you with us, Ms. Achike Chude.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, also on phone I have Martin Elwi, senior researcher, counter-terrorism, transnational threats and international crimes division at the Institute of Security Studies in Pretoria, South Africa. Good to have you with us also on the program. Now let's start with you, Achike. Indeed, what do you make of the dynamics of global terrorism and how has it affected Africa over the years?
Yes, it has grown. I think the world was shocked at what happened in the United States about 14 years ago. It was unprecedented. And but a lot of people, I'm sure, did not understand how it was going to unfold in the years to come. For the intervening years, we have seen different shades, and the character and temperament of terrorism. Of course, I remember that after the 2011, bombing, that the United States, the President of the United States, had described the terrorists as a group of fascists, who had also indoctrinated the Nazism, more or less.
And I also remember Donald Rumsfeld, then Secretary of Defense, also saying that they are going to, it is either the terrorists are going to make the Americans change their way of life, or that they will force the terrorists to change their way of life, and that there are no two ways about it. And like I said, it has metamorphosed in so many dimensions. Because you had a bipolar world, you know, at that particular point in time, the United States and then the Soviet Union playing a dominant role in international politics. And so you found out that some of the conflicts that we had in the African continent and all over the world, in Latin America and so on, were powered by, you know, either ideologies of, you know, the Soviet Union and then, or that of the West and so on. And so they had a lot of proxy battles raging in parts of Latin America, parts of Africa. You had Jonas Savimbi and his group. You also had in other parts of the country, we also had the same proxy was being fought on behalf of the great powers and so on. And so when the collapse of the Soviet Union happened, the world was left with a unipolar, you know, power, that is the United States and so on. And then so many other dynamics also played out. You already had all kinds of groups, you know, rebel groups and so on, operational in most of these, you know, African countries. And do not forget that Africa is racked by a lot of misgovernance. And so you have governments and institutions in those countries in Africa that are extremely very, very weak. And one of the things that encourage terrorism really is weak governments, and that tends to give rise, because there are also implications for weak governance. You have security issues, you have corruption, you have, you know, some of those things that, you know, make for a festering of terrorist activities, drug, you know, trade, illicit drug trading and so on and so forth. And so we had that play out in the African continent. So it was a matter of time that the terrorists were also going to
let's
get in
hold
on the
your
action.
thoughts for that for some time. But let's take Mr. Martin Ewe, who joins me now on phone. Good to have you with us on the program. So indeed, how would you say terrorism has evolved in Africa in the last 10 years?
Well, I think we've had some transformation of the threat itself. We've had particularly an evolution in the tactics. For example, we know that what was before September 11, terrorists were much more going for what we call the hard target, which means they were attacking more of military targets, police, and other security agencies. Even though they will once in a while attack civilian infrastructures. But the principal target then was mainly the military and security agencies. Then they used to have the most often full support of their support base, that means the population. But now we've had a switch to mainly the targeting of the soft target, which means that they will attack markets, they will attack restaurants, they will attack wherever they know that people can be gathered in plenty and there is no security provided. Or even if security provided, that security can never be enough to protect everybody in that particular environment. So we've had that transformation, and these are the kind of attacks that we have been having regularly.
Okay, let me quickly interrupt here, Mr. Ewe. I apologize for interrupting you, but let's quickly take this break, and we'll be back with Africa Today. Stay with us.
The BT Price Drop brings you an earth-shattering offer for a limited time on super reliable, super fast fibre optic broadband. Get BT Infinity and unlimited UK weekend calls for £10 a month. That's over 20% off. And it's just a 12-month contract. Plus get BT TV, subscription-free for a whole year, including free BT Sport, the only place to watch UEFA Champions League live. Don't miss out on the BT Price Drop offer. Switch to BT today. Call 0800 004 800 or visit bt.com/drop.
Get around-the-clock defense against everyday sugars with Aquafresh 24-hour sugar acid protection toothpastes. Aquafresh 24-hour sugar acid protection. 24-hour sugar acid protection. Available with Complete Care mouthwash.
Welcome back. Efforts to avoid a repetition of 9/11 have largely shaped America's foreign policy in recent years. Some say drone strikes in the Middle East and parts of Africa may have hit targets, but it has also killed untold numbers of civilians and inspired a generation of enemies. Well, I still have in the studio a guest with me, Martin Ewe from South Africa. He's been sharing his thoughts on what he thinks could have caused the terrorism to evolve. Yes, good to have you still with us. Now, you are telling us what your thoughts were on the evolution of terrorism in Africa.
Yes, I was saying that essentially in the past decade or so, we've seen a switch from the principal targeting of what we refer to as hard targets, which will include military and security agencies. During this period, we used to see a lot of direct confrontation between terrorist militants and security forces. But that has switched to what we now refer to as soft targets, principally, even though there's still a tendency for them to attack security infrastructures whenever the opportunity arises. But principally what we see every day is the attacks on soft targets such as markets, you have restaurants, you have schools, you have hospitals, and other popular areas where people tend to gather in plenty, and the security there is not always the best, or even if it is there, it cannot protect everyone. So, and this has made terrorism in the past decade or so to be extremely deadly. If you take, for example, last year, where I think it is believed that about between 15 and 20,000 people died in Africa due to terrorism. That's huge if you compare it with the years before 2014. Where the death rate or even the casualty rate normally will range between 5,000 and 10,000. So there has been actually that doubling in casualty of terrorism, and this is purely due to terrorists' commitment to commit mass casualty through acts or strategies such as suicide bombing, or they will attack markets.
Right, so what
there
lessons...
is also increasing use of bombs.
Okay, yeah, right. So what lessons do you think the world have failed to learn since the 9/11 attacks?
I think what the world has failed to learn since the 9/11 attack is that these terrorist groups, they operate in networks, they talk to each other, they share strategies, they share even resources. But what our security agencies have not been able to do effectively has been to cooperate among themselves and to be able to share the same kind of strategies that terrorists share. So we don't also learn in the sense that, instead of us trying not to protect this civilian infrastructure, we tend to only react, to terrorist acts, and this cannot be helpful. So we still need to learn from the past.
Okay, so what other alternatives do you think the world should explore now in ensuring peace in the region?
I think that terrorists, if they want to learn, our security agencies really want to do more, we need to emphasize on intelligence, which is what we have not done very well. I think we've tried to be more reactive rather than proactive. And if we adopt the strategy of being proactive, which means we carry out proactive investigation or proactive intelligence, which is the one that you try to sense where the attack might come from or who is planning what, and then you try to interrupt or to intercept and disrupt these kind of activities. We've not had a lot of that. And whenever it happens, we see the advantages for the society. We see that the military or the intelligence sources have been able to protect and even disrupt many of these activities that could have been very deadly on our society. We need to do more of that. If we can do more of that proactive counter-terrorism strategies, I'm sure that will be able to eliminate more than 50% of what we have today.
Okay, Martin Ewe, all the way from South Africa. Thanks a lot for your contributions on Africa Today. Now, Mr. Chike Chude, this is something that is quite worrying in saying that this Islamist insurgency is more like growing in leaps and bounds almost on a daily basis. Now, what is your perception to the various strategies adopted by some countries in Africa to checkmate this growing trend?
Well, do not forget that the terrorist activities, has its roots essentially in the Middle East, and the policy, based on the policy of the West, especially the United States and Britain and so on, towards that particular region. That has, of course, we remember the era of hijacking of airplanes and so on, so it has evolved to this level and then has gone beyond the West, beyond Europe to Africa, like we are saying, right here. The reality is that African countries really have a duty. They have found it difficult all this while to actually, confront the issue of terrorism. But of course, that we are no longer talking about terrorism endemic to Africa. It is called the global war. The war against terrorism is called the global war on terror. And so African countries, have been enjoying and they have been working towards fighting, the scourge of terrorism. Of course, there has been, if you look at what has been going on, in the past, we had, instances of rebel movements trying to seize political power. We had, what happened in Sierra Leone, what happened in Liberia and other parts of Africa. But over time, it would appear that, Islamic, and I don't really want to call it, people have, been waging this debate on whether what we are seeing is real Islam at work, or whether it is a perversion of Islam. And I think that a lot of people have settled, for the latter. What you have is a perversion of a religion that a lot of people have said is a religion of peace. And so there is this concerted effort really to battle a group of extremists and fanatics, not extremists that are motivated by pure religious, sentiments and so on, but by a perverted distortion or perverted or distorted, understanding or interpretation of religion. And of course, people have always argued in the past that religion is the opium of the people. So I think this is what African leaders really are confronted with. And again, there is a base for terrorism. And you cannot talk about, the battle, against terrorism in Africa. It is different from that of Europe. For instance, like I tried to, establish here that the basis of the terrorism that we are seeing here has been the attitude of the West and what has been going on, the politics that is going on in the Middle East and so on. So you want to believe, or you will think that, the terrorism, that the kind that we are seeing in Africa would get to a particular level, much higher level in the West. And but the reality is that it has been made impossible in the West because you have a society that works. You have a society that has very sophisticated, security agencies that are, very proactive and functional and so on. So they have been able to keep the threats of terrorism at bay in those other countries. Africa lacks these facilities. Africa lacks the infrastructure.
So how can Africa
but most
this
importantly, you see, you need to go to the base that to that segment of the society that has nurtured terrorism. And you must the economic base of the African continent. Africa is racked with poverty. Africa, and this poverty has induced a lot of things. The illiteracy that we're seeing all across the continent and so on provide, a festering ground, a breeding ground for terrorism, for people who do not have any stake in the society, people who do not have anything to do, who are not economically empowered. Millions of youths, African youths and so on, have nothing to do. So they are open to the instigation, and the